This is Rob Bell. And this is Rob's Rant. Welcome to another edition of the Rob's Rant Show. It's February 12th, 2022, Saturday afternoon in the 906 Media Production Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm your host, Rob Bell, and I am perplexed about this crime issue in America. And so, along with maybe some other topics, if I can get to them, I want to talk about this issue of crime. In October of 1987, then President Ronald Reagan said, "Crime is an epidemic in the United States." That was a fair statement. The only issue that I have with that particular statement is he made it in 1967. It is now 2022, and crime is still an epidemic. So you do the math and tell me how long crime has been an epidemic in the United States. It leads me to believe that the United States really doesn't want to take a serious effort about how to resolve crime in this country, because just like anything else in the United States, this country has made crime a commodity. So what do I mean when I say that? What I mean by saying that crime has been made a commodity by the United States, being the capitalistic country that it is, has chosen to make money off of this issue of crime. So as a quote unquote superpower and quote unquote one of the best and the most powerful country in the world, it seems as if the United States really wanted to ratchet down the crime rate, it really could. Just like the so-called war on drugs that at that time President Reagan talked about in terms of the eradication of dangerous drugs and narcotics in this country, and how he and his administration were going to deal with the scourge of the influx of drugs in the country. Well, that hasn't happened either, because in conjunction with crime, drugs has been the fueling force of a lot of the crime that has occurred in this country. And so when we talk about crime in the country, we talk about crime, and most of the crime that has been committed in underprivileged neighborhoods, neighborhoods that we want to disrespectfully term the ghetto, neighborhoods that when we disrespectfully term those neighborhoods the ghetto, we're talking about black neighborhoods, and we're talking about black people. So subsequently, we're talking about the majority of crime that's being committed in this country are being committed by black people in black neighborhoods. And as a result, it's being plastered all over the news media almost on a nightly basis. So the perception is the only reason we have crime in this country, or proliferation of crimes in this country, is because of black people. And so, as opposed to what was happening in 1987, in comparison to now, 2022, the proliferation of handguns has gotten way out of control. And a lot of the crimes that are being committed in this country are homicides, and it's as a result of people who have total access to handguns. And so we can talk about the issue of being a law-abiding citizen, and it's our right to bear arms, and the NRA's stance on that, and all that comes with that. But the bottom line is the majority of these outlaws that are out in our communities are packing handguns, and those handguns are killing people. I want to read a quote by Commissioner Danielle Outlaw, who is the commissioner of the Philadelphia Police Department. And if you guys have followed me, you know that I'm from Philadelphia, and I often talk about the crime issue in Philadelphia, to which last year they had 560 plus homicides for the year, which was a record for that city. And most of those homicides, the majority of those homicides, were committed by outlaws who were carrying handguns. Commissioner Outlaw says, and I quote, "We're losing an entire generation of young people or individuals that identify as black and brown. That's a problem. And it's a crisis. And until everyone gets on the same page and recognizes that it's a crisis, we're going to continue the same thing in 2022, 2023, and so on." Well, Commissioner, I'm here to say that if you don't think it's a crisis, or you think that we're moving into crisis mode, you're sadly mistaken, because it's certainly a crisis at this point. And it seems to me that there's really not a whole lot that law enforcement can do about it. I've gotten on a lot of my platforms on social media, and I've kind of put the charge on law enforcement in these respective cities, the heads of the law enforcement agencies, the police chiefs, the police commissioners, the mayors, the governors of our respective states. And I've said that it's up to them to try to come up with some solutions and some plans to try to at least ratchet down crime in especially our major cities in the United States. Well, I was talking to someone yesterday, and they said, you're really blowing smoke up people's ass. Because the bottom line is there's nothing they can do. And even more importantly, what do you expect them to do? Because the people who are committing these crimes are often repeat offenders. They're getting away with it when they commit the crimes. There are not enough boots on the ground to catch the offenders. People wanting to become police officers and fight justice, law and order in the American way is not as strong as it used to be, especially when you have police officers in Minnesota who are charging through people's door with a no-knock warrant. And I'm speaking of Amir Locke, when they came in his apartment and basically killed him with a no-knock warrant. And they're supposed to be a law enforcement agency. They are a law enforcement agency. But the expectation is we're supposed to have respect for our law enforcement agencies. And, when we do, then that will give them a better opportunity to fight crime. Well, when people kind of see that and they feel like the criminal justice system is way out of control, especially when it comes to the criminal justice system and how black people are being policed in our community, their whole attitude is F the police, F law enforcement. We could care less about them, because we're going to continue to do what we got to do, because nobody is coming to the neighborhood to try to rescue us. And not that they should, and not that they have to, but when you're dealing with people that have a mindset that there are other people in this country who have a whole hell of a lot more than I do, and for whatever reason, I'm not on that same level, and the playing field is not even, then guess what? I'm going to take what I got to get. I'm going to do what I got to do to feed my family. And there's a multitude of arguments about how that should and could and why it's happening. The argument is, I could care less about black people killing each other. I went to school. I got my education. I got mine. I worked hard for what I got. And I'm not making any apology for that. So I'm going to get what I got to get and live in my cushy neighborhood out in the suburbs. And I can care less about people like that. That's one argument. The other argument on the other side is if I'm living in the hood and I get poor housing and I get a poor quality of education, and I come from a situation where my household is not the quote unquote Ozzie and Harriet type household, Leave It to Beaver type household. My parents are drug addicted or alcohol addicted, or my mother's a single parent. She's got to work 2 to 3 jobs to take care of us, and there's nobody home to give us any guidance. I don't even know who my father is. How do you expect me to turn out? And when I turn out the way I do, you want to vilify me and tell me it's all my fault. When there's a lot of outside forces that force me and people like me in positions to be the way that we are. We all know that America on its face is all about making money. America is all about capitalism. And in order for the people who have it at the top, there has to be people at the bottom. And America will continue to keep people at the bottom because that's the way America is. America fights communism. America fights socialism because those are the isms that give people an opportunity to get what the next person gets. America doesn't want that. And so they will make communism and communism and socialism look like a nasty cold that no one wants to get. And in order for us not to get that cold, we have to move towards protecting that. And so that's why we get involved in these wars that we do. So America is as much responsible for a lot of the crime that occurs in this country and a lot of the social ills that continue to occur in this country as the next person. And so here we are in 2022, living amongst the pandemic, the COVID-19, the Omicron virus. The economy is the worst probably that it's been in a long time. There's no food on the shelves in the stores. Gas prices are rising. Crime is at an all-time high. And what are we supposed to do about that? I don't even have an answer for it. Someone told me the other day, said, man, you've been fighting this issue for the last 20 years. You've been putting information about how to educate people and how people need to step up and pull their bootstraps up and fend for themselves and not rely on the government and do it from within and for themselves. And where has it gotten you? Not a damn place. Because nobody listens to you, dude. Nobody cares about what you have to say. Everybody is living in their own world. Everybody is living in their own comfort zone. And until it touches them personally, they can give a rat's ass about what happens in this world, especially black people. That touched me when I heard that, because that person was right. I have been disseminating this information for the last 20 years to people, and I've created various programs. I've created various workshops to try to educate people to the fact that in order for us to get better with where we are, we got to do it for ourselves, and nobody could care less. Nobody watches my videos. Nobody watches my social media channel, Channel 906 TV. Nobody, so people could care less. I wonder how Malcolm X felt when he was trying to educate the black community to how to come up as a people. I wonder how Martin Luther King felt when he was trying to educate people. I wonder how Stokely Carmichael felt. Huey Newton, Bobby Seale, Eldridge Cleaver. I wonder how they felt when they were trying to incorporate programs to help people come up. And here it is in 2022, we're still at the same pace that we are. Oh yeah, we've made some inroads, but in terms of being on top of things the way we need to be on top, we're just as far as away as we've been as we had been since, in my opinion, the 1960s. This is Rob Bell, and this is Rob's Rant.